We had invited the chair of the Glen Echo Development Committee. Are they coming? We even got a PowerPoint presentation emailed in.
Yep. Mr. Chairman, Dory Frankel, the chair, unfortunately couldn't make it tonight. Last minute issue came up. So I'll try to wing her presentation if that's okay. She's spent a lot of time preparing a PowerPoint presentation. I'm pretty familiar with the project, so I think I can guide us through this. If you want to bring up that.
Maybe the Glen Echo?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And you can go to the next slide. Here we go. All right, so as you know, this is the Glen Echo development. This is a project update. Essentially, it's been pretty quiet over the years. It's had peaks and valleys, but we've had a lot of progress recently, so that's where we're going to bring you by the end of this presentation. This is a picture Dory put in. It's representative of the site. It's when you drive in the site from the formal Glen Echo Boulevard. You go in the site several hundred feet and you see the sign Glen Echo Park. So this is the main entryway. This is the area where later on in the presentation you'll see that there's a proposed driveway going into the property, a paved driveway. This will be the area where that is.
And this sign, by the way, was an Eagle Scout community project.
Yeah, right. Okay, next slide. Okay, I'm not going to wing this. I'm just going to read it. Okay. In 2011, the town of Stoughton purchased the Glen Echo parcel through the Community Preservation Act, open space funds. The intent of this purchase was to preserve this 97.16 acre parcel for present and future public uses through passive recreation and up to 6 active recreation acres. This parcel is a tremendous natural asset to the town of Stoughton and is richly varied in topography, ecology, and history. The site sits on the southern end of the Glen Echo Lake, a naturally spring-fed lake that boasts steep-edged granite slopes and a lush littoral edge. The lake is roughly a mile long and a quarter of a mile wide. Picky Pond is a shallow water body, sits within the parcel, as well as claims just over an acre of the surface area. In 2013, the town meeting authorized approximately $304,000 for the improvements and development of the passive recreation areas of the Glen Echo Park. This development has been created through the careful integration of site analysis, historical data, feasibility studies, and the public forum process to forge a vision of the future generations of users for the Glen Echo Park. A phased implementation of the thoughtful and measured interventions that focuses on simplicity, access, public input, and stewardship has been crafted to integrate the town's new parcel into the 21st century while preserving its past. Compiled from the Glen Echo Park Recreation Development Plan, prepared for the town of Stoughton by Kyle Zick Landscape Architecture, dated October 17, 2014. There's a little bit of history. Next slide, please. Essentially, Dory, the next few slides, Dory prepared the cost estimate for what the $304,000 will pay for. Just to go through it quick, hit the main topics: site preparation, demolition, parking, paving, planting the grass lawn, they call it the Great Lawn on the plan, vegetation management, signage, and some structures. By structures, it's mostly walking bridges over the trails. She's built in a contingency to the project and some overhead and profit, and the building and permitting fees. When it's all said and done, it equates to $304,000 approximately. Next slide, please. Keep on, 2 more. 1 more. There you go. right, so this is the plan that was generated. It's a conceptual plan. Shows the big green area is the Great Lawn area. It's a clearing at the end of this new driveway that's going to be constructed. As you can see, the driveway has a turnaround. It's probably tough to see on the image, but there is a turnaround where some parking spaces on the edge. Since this plan has been developed, parking has been talked about more and more. There'll be more parking spaces than that's shown in this plan. But generally speaking, it'll be designed so that a fire truck can go in, turn around, and come out safely. There'll be, certain types of benches, donor benches on the property. There's also be a gravel drive that goes down to the lakefront for future use. There'll be porta-johns on the property to start off, possibly be upgraded over time to a septic system. There'll be various paths throughout the property. As you can see, the white lines are all the paths. Most of them are there now. There'll be a couple of new ones that connect paths. So the paths will be upgraded, cleaned up a bit, and marked out. There's a couple of historic foundations along the main drive coming in. Those will be preserved and marketed as you drive in. There'll be boardwalks. You see the word boardwalk on the plan. Pretty much what that means is there's a couple areas where the wetlands cross the walking paths. So there'll be like a walking bridge over the wetlands so that there's no disruption to the ground where the wetlands are. There will be water service down the road. There's actually existing water service now. According to what we know from the DPW, we can utilize that water service, extend it, and provide water up near the Porta-John area. So that's the plan. There's been various meetings. Many, Christine can vouch for this, many meetings over the past couple years on this between the committee, various departments, to really bring this plan forward. There was a couple hiccups along the way for the last, I want to say, couple years. We had established a conservation restriction. So we were getting close for a while. I know the committee was getting close. Obviously, our town council was involved, and then there was a change in council, so that also delayed things for a few months. But essentially what happened was, as we went through the process, originally the committee was believing, and I think they were right, that generally this area would have to be looked at and defined in a certain way with markers and things of that nature. When we submitted this to the state, they wanted us to pretty much look at the entire property, define the entire property with a survey, so we kind of used a compiled plan between a survey of the engineering department and plans that were already on record, blended them together and made a plan that worked for the DCR. Long story short, that took a while, delayed things for a few months, and as of last week, we finally completed the recording of the CR. It's official, signed off by Stoughton, Canton, the Conservation Commission, and the state. So we're all set with that. So I think talking to Dory, her next step would be to bring another committee meeting together, make sure everybody's refreshed in what we're thinking for the project, and move the project forward. So I couldn't give you a timeline right now. I think you're looking for a timeline, but I would hope we hit the next construction season, which is next year.
Thank you, Dory.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Any questions?
So, Mark, when the committee gets back together again, what are their options in terms of next steps?
Their options so the next steps is they really need to get together and make sure that their concept plan that was previously discussed is where they still want to go. So obviously there was things like parking spaces discussed, walking trail, new walking trails, vegetation management, things like that that need to be discussed. So as long as they're good with that, that plan can now be forwarded to the engineering department, and that process will take a while to prepare plans that can go out to bid. It's going to be very important. The next step is going to be very important on how quickly this happens, because if the plans need to go out to bid, what happens is the plans end up being about 20 pages long, because you have to detail every little specification out, and then you have to have a spec package that ends up being like that. A tremendous amount of work for one project tremendous amount of resources and time, as you can imagine. If, for example, we can have the DPW do a lot of the road coming in, a lot of the clearing and things of that nature, the plans can be at a different level because we don't have to go out for bid. It's done internally. So discussions with DPW a while ago, over a year ago, they were willing to help out. So I think another discussion with the DPW needs to be on the books to see what they can help out with this project, because that would be critical on kind of getting to the finish line on this. So those are the next couple steps. I mean, all that needs to happen over the winter and the spring to hit the next construction season.
So if the DPW helps you out with clearing of brush and kind of maybe more etching out or establishing roadways and things of that nature, then you can go ahead and start ordering other equipment for the site, chairs, benches, things of that nature?
Yeah, so there might be a couple ways of dealing with you might be able to phase this project where the first part is constructing the road coming in and the drainage associated with it, and then phase two is the great lawn area, the trails and all that kind of thing.
Right, you've got to run utilities, I forgot, yeah.
Yeah, but we got water, we got electric that we have to run, so things like that. Yeah, we would want to run all that in phase one, obviously, because we'd be digging up the road, so. So we need to hammer out the details now that this is back to being a real project again. So I'm hoping within the next month or so, Dory and the committee meets so we can kind of get through these details.
Yeah, that's what you need right now is a project plan.
What's that?
That's what you need right now is a project plan.
Yeah.
We're hoping to meet Monday, so,
Monday.
yeah,
Cool.
ready to go.
Good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.